7 years. That's how long I've been walking around with a ghost in my pocket. A sister who didn't exist anymore, according to every official document, every memorial, every memory that turned to ash in my mouth. The police closed the case. The funeral came and went. Our mother never recovered, but I couldn't let her go, not completely. Some part of me refused to believe that Sarah had just vanished into the void without a trace. I was ordering coffee on a Tuesday morning when I saw her. It wasn't a thought first. It was a feeling, a jolt that stopped my heart mid-beat. I looked up from my phone, and there she was, standing behind the espresso machine at the small café 2 blocks from my apartment. The same face I'd memorized from 1,000 photographs. The same hands I remembered holding when she was just 4 years old and scared of thunderstorms. But older, worn somehow, with eyes that had seen things I couldn't fathom. My body froze. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I just stood there staring like an idiot while a line of caffeine-addicted strangers built up behind me. "Next," she called out, not looking at me directly. Her voice was different, softer, cautious, like she was always ready to disappear again. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. My voice had abandoned me. She glanced up, noticing my silence, and I watched her face change. Just for a fraction of a second, I saw recognition flicker across her features. Then it vanished, replaced by a blank, practiced smile. The kind you give to every customer, to no one in particular. "Can I help you?" she asked, and it was the cruelty of normalcy that broke me. I didn't know what to say. Do you scream? Do you cry? Do you tell someone they're supposed to be dead? I walked out of that cafe without ordering anything, my hands shaking so badly I could barely text my best friend. "I found her," I wrote. "I found Sarah. She's alive." The next 3 hours were a blur of confusion, panic, and disbelief. I sat in my car, 2 blocks away from that cafe, watching the entrance like some kind of stalker. Was I losing my mind? Had my grief finally cracked open and spilled out in the form of a beautiful hallucination? No. I knew what I saw. I knew that face like I knew my own. Before we continue, we would like to thank all of you who support us by subscribing, liking, and sharing our content. The only appreciation we ask of you is that you subscribe, like, and share this video, if you are not yet one of our subscribers. Thank you. When Sarah came out of that cafe at the end of her shift, wearing a green apron and carrying a canvas bag, I didn't think. I just got out of my car and walked straight toward her. Up close, the resemblance was undeniable, but there were differences too. New scars on her wrists, a tattoo on her left shoulder I didn't recognize, and in her eyes a wariness that hadn't been there before. "Sarah?" I whispered, and I watched her entire body go rigid. She stopped walking. Didn't turn around at first, just stood there like I'd pulled her back from the edge of a cliff. When she finally turned to face me, I saw something in her expression that terrified me. Not relief or joy, but fear. Raw, primal fear. "I don't know you," she said, but her voice cracked on the words. "Yes, you do," I said, stepping closer. "I'm your sister. I'm Emma. You disappeared 7 years ago. There was a search, a trial. We had a funeral. Mom..." "No." She held up her hand and her voice became sharp, defensive. "No, don't. You don't get to do this." I felt like I'd been slapped. "What do you mean? Sarah, it's me. It's really me." "My name isn't Sarah anymore," she said quietly, and that's when I understood. It wasn't that she didn't recognize me. It was that she was terrified of what my recognition meant. She was terrified of me. "Then what is it?" I asked, my voice barely audible. She looked around as if checking to see if anyone was watching. "Not here. Not now." She pulled a small notepad from her bag, scribbled an address, and pressed it into my shaking hand. "Tomorrow, 7 in the evening, come alone and please don't tell anyone you saw me." Then she walked away, disappearing into the growing darkness of the evening, leaving me standing alone on the sidewalk with a scrap of paper and a million questions burning through my chest. That night I didn't sleep. I sat on my bedroom floor, holding that address like it was a sacred text, and I cried. I cried for the 7 years of not knowing. I cried for my mother, who had never recovered from Sarah's disappearance. I cried for the little sister I thought I'd lost forever, who was alive but seemed to wish she wasn't. And I cried for the person I had been before that Tuesday morning, the person who could still believe that the world made sense. I called my mother 15 times and hung up every time. What would I even say? "Hey Mom, by the way, Sarah's been alive this whole time, 3 miles away making lattes." The lie we'd all learned to live with was suddenly crashing down, and I didn't know how to navigate the rubble. The next day moved like a slow-motion nightmare. I called in sick to work. I showered, changed my clothes 3 times, rehearsed what I would say, and then erased it all. Nothing felt adequate for the conversation I was about to have. At 6:45, I was outside the address she'd given me. A small, cramped apartment building on the edge of the downtown area. The kind of place where people went to disappear. I climbed the stairs to apartment 3C and knocked on the door. When Sarah opened it, she was crying. The apartment was small, sparse, like it had been furnished by someone who didn't believe in staying anywhere long. There were no family photos, no personal touches, nothing that suggested a life being lived. It looked like a holding cell. Sarah sat down on a worn couch and gestured for me to sit across from her. I stayed standing. "Before you ask," she said, "I didn't choose to disappear. I didn't leave to hurt you or Mom or anyone. What you think happened, it's not the truth." My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. "Then what is the truth?" She took a breath that seemed to take forever. 7 years ago, I was in an abusive relationship. My boyfriend, his name was Marcus, he was controlling, violent, unpredictable. I tried to leave, but he wouldn't let me. He said if I ever tried to go, he'd kill me, and he'd make sure no one ever found my body. I felt the room tilt. Sarah continued, her voice becoming distant, like she was reading from a script she'd told herself 1,000 times. "One night we had a fight that got really bad. He hit me, I hit back. Somehow in the chaos he fell down the stairs. He died on impact. When I realized what happened, I panicked. I knew nobody would believe it was self-defense. He had connections, power, money. His family was ruthless. I knew they would come for me. So I ran, I left everything behind. I created a new name, a new life, and I hid." Before we continue, we would like to thank all of you who support us by subscribing, liking, and sharing our content. The only appreciation we ask of you is that you subscribe, like, and share this video if you are not yet one of our subscribers. Thank you. I sat down because my legs couldn't hold me anymore. "But they found remains. A body. Someone else's body," Sarah said softly. "A woman who had disappeared from across the state. Her identification was corrupted and the timeline. They wanted to close the case, my case. They already had their conclusion. I was dead, and I let them believe it because it meant I could actually live. Why didn't you contact us?" The words came out as a sob. "Why didn't you let me know you were alive? Mom, you have no idea what it did to her, to all of us." "Because contacting you meant being traceable," Sarah said, and now there were tears streaming down her face. "Because Marcus's family never stopped looking for me. For years I thought they'd find me. I changed my appearance, moved constantly, never stayed in one place long enough to be found. I only stopped 2 years ago when I heard that his brother, the one who was actually looking for me, had died. I thought maybe I could finally breathe. So I moved here, got a job at the café, and I thought maybe, just maybe, I could live a quiet life. Until I found you," I whispered. "Until you found me," she confirmed. I looked at my sister, this stranger who shared my DNA, who had walked through hell and come out the other side, who had chosen isolation over the possibility of being found. And I understood. Not completely, maybe, but I was starting to. "What do you want to do now?" I asked. Sarah was quiet for a long time. "I don't know. If you tell people, if anyone finds out I'm alive, I don't know what happens. There could be legal issues, investigations, complications, but I also don't know how to keep running from you, from the fact that you found me anyway." I moved to the couch and sat beside her. I didn't touch her because I wasn't sure I had the right to, but I sat close enough that she could feel I was there. "What if you didn't have to keep running? What if we did this the right way? What if we actually contacted the police, explained what happened, and let the truth come out?" "That's not how the world works," she said, and the bitterness in her voice was like poison. "The truth is messy. The truth is inconvenient. The truth is that I killed someone, even if it was in self-defense. And people like Marcus's family have lawyers and power, and the ability to make inconvenient truths disappear." But even as she said it, I could see something shifting in her eyes, a spark of hope that she'd been trying to extinguish for 7 years. The exhaustion of running was written all over her face. She was tired of being dead. It took months of gathering evidence, hiring lawyers, and slowly, carefully, bringing Sarah's story to light. The evidence of Marcus's abuse was overwhelming once we looked for it. Hospital records, photographs, witness statements from people Sarah had confided in over the years. The self-defense case was solid, but what struck me most was watching my sister slowly, carefully, begin to reclaim her real name, her real identity, her real life. The reunion with my mother was heartbreaking and beautiful in equal measure. There was anger, yes, 7 years of anger and grief. But underneath it, there was the undeniable truth. Our family had been broken and now somehow we were being healed. Sarah had missed so much. She didn't know about my promotion, my relationship, my struggles. I didn't know about her strength, her resilience, her quiet courage in choosing to survive. We had to learn each other all over again, not as the sisters we'd been, but as the women we'd become. Looking back now, I realize that sometimes the people we've lost aren't truly gone. They're just hiding, waiting for someone to see them clearly enough to call them back. Sarah taught me that healing isn't linear, that survival sometimes looks like running, and that the people who love us are often braver than we know. She's back in our lives now, still cautious, still carrying the weight of what she endured. But she's here. She's alive. And that's everything.